Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm going to be talking about the Week 14 NFL game lines, picks against the spreads. I'm going to be going over all that, and then at the end, I'll give a brief look at my thinking into the Thursday night player props, which will be out in article form over at Shooting the Sports. So look out for that. But yeah, so I'm just going to start out with just the game lines for the Sunday games. And we're going to start out with Kansas City and the Dolphins. This is going to be an interesting game. The Dolphins, I'm not sure what to think of them right now. It feels like their team is undoubtedly better under Ryan Fitzpatrick than Tua. And while Tua did end up throwing for almost 300 yards by the end of that last game, it still isn't convincing to me that he is the guy. I mean, this is obviously, I'm not going to make any hot takes on him. This is obviously a long term project, and we don't know whether he's the future or not, and that's what they're trying to figure out right now. But if we're talking about playoff implications at the moment, I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick makes this team better, and since he won't be playing, I like the Chiefs -7 a lot more. Um, Patrick Mahomes just played a very close game. Not that impressive game, in fact, against the Broncos last week. And it feels like they're going to come off that. That was kind of like a look ahead game. You know, they were playing, they were sleepwalking a bit. They weren't looking like the same team. It feels like they really prepared for the Dolphins. And I think they're going to beat them pretty badly, honestly. I understand the Dolphins defense is scary, but this is the best offense in the NFL with the best quarterback and the future MVP this year. And I don't know if the Dolphins are ready for that. Like, Xavier Howard leads the league in interceptions, but can he cover Tyreek Hill? You know, like, it's going to be very interesting. But I think 7, that's a key number right there. So I think this is going to be popular. A lot of people will probably tease it down to 1 on 6-point teasers, which I think I'll definitely look into this week. Or I can see a lot of people, even if they think this is going to be an under kind of game, and they tease the Dolphins up to maybe 13, and then tease the under up to, 55.6. I don't know if we see a whole lot of that, but I can definitely see that. And I'm going to be looking out for Myles Gaskin player props earlier. He had a huge role in the receiving game last week, and I think if the Dolphins want to be in this game, Myles Gaskin's going to have to be the guy. So overall, I'm liking Chiefs -7, not committing to anything right now. I don't think that line's gonna move from 7. I think we're not gonna see any of that. So yeah, that's what I'm sticking with. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars at 53. I think it opened up at 52.5 if I'm not mistaken, but we're up to 53. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Neither of these teams can play defense. Titans couldn't stop Baker Mayfield. Jacksonville can't stop anyone. So over is definitely intriguing on this game. But I'm gonna wait a little bit, see where my mind settles on that, because 53 is obviously a pretty big number. But yeah, this is gonna be a popular DFS game for good reason. And I think we're going to see the Titans in a bit of a get-right spot. I think the Titans are both really good and really bad at the same time. They don't have that same cornerback depth that they did last year that really helped them down the stretch. Their defense hasn't been anywhere near strong. But I think they kind of might put up some points on Jacksonville this week. I don't know if Jacksonville and the Mike Glennon show can keep it up. I think they're intriguing for DFS, but I don't know if I'm going to put any money on them. I might just stay away from this game, honestly. But if I did have one lean, it would definitely be to the Titans. Next up, we got Minnesota and the Bucks. That's going to be an interesting game, obviously. Minnesota looks like they're turning their season around a little bit, and 6.5 feels like way too much. The Bucks haven't had that Super Bowl hype that they came into the season with recently after losing to the Chiefs and, having some struggles in prime time, because they do have a lot of primetime games this year. But I think I'm going to go with the Vikings 6.5. The Vikings seem to be getting their stuff together ever since Dalvin Cook came back. I mean, who can stop that guy? He's probably been the best running back in the NFL this year. He's so balanced. His role in the receiving game exploded last week, too. It's kind of crazy. This offense is just really high-powered, and I think we continue to see them succeed. I think the Bucks might win this. I think Tom Brady is also really good in DFS this week. I mean, we could just see him throw like 4 touchdowns on like 230 yards. Like not even that crazy, but just like really efficient. So I'm not quite sure how this game's gonna pan out, but the Bucks I've never been as big as fan as the public has. So I'm gonna lean towards the Vikings right now, but still not gonna make any commitments at the moment. Next up, we got the Cardinals and the Giants. This is a very interesting game. I've been thinking a lot about this one. Both these teams feel like empty suits. They feel like frauds. I'm not a big fan of either one of them. Whether it's Daniel Jones or Colt McCoy, I mean, it does make a difference, and it looks like it will be Daniel Jones, but like they've earned some respect by beating the Seahawks, but have they earned under three, like under 3 point underdogs, like that kind of respect? I don't think so. I think the Cardinals are a better team with a better quarterback and a better coach and a better wide receiver. It feels like they've got everything on their side. Looks like some sharp monies came in on the Giants from what I read earlier. But 2.5 just doesn't feel like enough. Like I don't think they're there yet, even though I know they do need to win some of these games to make the playoffs this year. But I'm gonna commit to Cardinals 2.5. That'll definitely be one of my key plays this week. Unfortunately, it doesn't look very good for teasers. I like having my favorite plays in some different kind of teasers. I'm not going to tease through zero, and I'm not going to tease the Giants up, so that's not going to be on my radar for there. But maybe some money line parlays. I would not mind having the Cardinals. Texans Bears. We got let's see, it's only a 1 point spread. I like the money line plus 100 the Bears. I mean, what are the Texans playing for at this point? I mean, we saw Deshaun Watson crying or not crying, but almost in tears at the end of last game after losing to the Colts, and he made a mistake. But this guy's elite. He's got no one around him. Cooks looks like he might miss this game, concussion protocol. Fuller's already suspended. It feels like they gave it a good run, but it's December now. They're not really playing for anything at this point. Um, it's a pick 'em at 1 point, and I'm gonna go with the Bears. So those were really the main games I wanted to talk about. Just the 1 o'clock. Those like five were my favorite games to talk about. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna quickly talk about the Thursday night player props. I've only done a quick scan, haven't done my article write up yet. I'm gonna be working on that soon. But I really like in terms of plays so far. Cooper Cup over 5.5 receptions. Make sure to shop around to find the best line. Feels like Robert Woods is going to garner some of the better competition on the outside, even though both of them have been highly engaged over these last couple weeks. So both of these lines are looking good. I actually cashed plus 130 Woods over 6.5 receptions last week, which was huge. That was a great hit. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And the only other thing that caught my eye was Damien Harris and James White are 250 and 375. I know this is a mess, this whole running game situation, but Cam Newton at minus 112 feels pretty safe, because it feels like he scores a rushing touchdown every week. But also, I might dabble in like a lower unit commitment to Harris or White. I know they're not really. White probably looks like the better one, which is sad because he's the third down receiving back. But Harris could have one vultured by Sony Michel, so I think maybe I'll put like a unit up here on Cam Newton at minus 112 just because he continues to do it, and then I'll dabble a little bit at plus 375. That's enough value for me to wanna commit to a little bit of James White. But those are just what I've seen so far. Quickly looking through, and yeah, I'm excited to see this play out.